opening up their home to us to let us come here and celebrate our somewhat end of the year thing. Also, big thanks to, I don't think either one are here right now. Chad did it a lot. Chad and Jeff for doing the scorebook almost every game between the two of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Woo! Good job.
And of course, thanks to Mike and Scott. We wouldn't be anywhere near successful without those two also helping out.
Yeah.
The whole game.
Team Bob.
You said you lost that title this year. You're done with that. Obviously, this team is a lot of fun to coach. They do everything really well. We're competitive in every game we play. We'll talk a little bit about each one of the players, but I just want to summarize not only this year, but the last 3 years we've had with this team. This year, right now, as we stand after yesterday, we're at 46-9 this year. We're 16-6 against 8th grade competition, which is a win percentage of 73%, and that's pretty impressive considering of those 6 losses, 3 of them were in our very first weekend of play this year. So take those out, we're 16-3 against 8th grade. We are 30-3 against 7th grade competition this year. That's a 91% win percentage. We entered 14 tournaments this year. We played in a championship game, 11 of those 14. We've won 9 of them, and of those 9, 3 were 8th grade tournaments we won. Take it a little bit further, over the last 3 years, we are 136-25. We've won 84.5% of the games we've played over the last 3 years.
How do you guys lose 25 games?
Yeah.
I remember one kid yelling.
And I would venture to guess, of those 25, what did we lose, 6 last year?
Yeah.
6 last year, 6, half of them were against playing up in grade level. And that doesn't, I don't know what we did against 5th grade, when we were playing 5th grade, how many were those. So half of those losses were to older than us. And then of course, we've won at least 50 straight games against grade level competition. I don't have stats from 5th grade, but didn't lose it all last year. And it was, I think, our 50th game we had won before we had lost our first grade level competition game this year. So, great job. I know our practices are fun, they're intense, but these guys are learning every practice. And I'm thinking we'll talk a little bit about it too. But Mattel, watch Mattel, that very first practice versus what he can do now, just shows what these guys are picking up during the practices. Scott? Mike, anything you want to add?
You want to go first, Mike?
No, hey, these guys, like Mattel is a perfect example of what you learn in practice. We saw him so raw, could barely dribble, do anything, and he has made leaps and bounds. It's ridiculous how good he's gotten. And then also, this is only a little bit with my kid. I noticed a little bit. He did a little tryout on Friday, and a tryout that he did earlier in the year with the Rockets or whatever. The difference that he in 1 year. Just seeing that, because it's my kid, I see it a little bit more, but it's amazing what these kids do in a year and how much they develop. You get used to it because you see it every week, but it's amazing how good they're getting.
Yeah, a lot of the same stuff. I think very fortunate to have a group of kids that work hard together. They definitely have their moments when they screw off. We got to get on them and do some things, but the way that they compete, the way that they come together when they need to. Of the losses that we've had, we've only had 1 loss I can even think of where we weren't in the game. And that's just a credit to the kids. And perfect example is last weekend, when we're playing a very good 8th grade team where they're bigger than us across the board. And the fact that we just, do all the things right that we need to do right, and we can beat a team like that just speaks to how the kids compete and how they get after it. So.
And even Colin trash talked right in that game.
I would have to say that game was probably our best win ever. Most highest quality win ever was that last Sunday's championship game. All right, so Griffin.
Yeah, Jeff.
Hey, moms.
As we're looking through the books upstairs, Griffin used to be our big man in the middle. Last year, we realized he wasn't going to be our big man much longer, so he started working a little bit more away from the basket, and he developed an outside shot. He was deadly from about 10 to 12 feet out on the wing. He'd get that shot, and I would say you're probably 70% shooting from that area this year. The other thing you kind of gained is 3-point shooting. You could never do 3-point shooting before, but you've been very consistent at that. But what Griffin brings to the table is when we need defense, out protecting our back on the press, we know for sure that Griffin was the guy to put in there. He'd always protect the basket. He probably drew more charges sitting back there all alone on a 2-on-1 break to stop the other team. He always had our back on defense, and that's why the other guys could gamble and create the steals because they knew Griffin was in back protecting the basket for them. He did a great job back there, so great season, Griffin.
I guess the biggest thing of all the kids, we've talked about this a little bit, and unfortunately, outside of Colin and Mattel, most of the rest of our kids just haven't had any maturity happen yet, or we don't have any size yet. And of all the kids, the one I feel the worst about is Griffin, because he gets caught having to guard guys that are much bigger and stronger than him often. And he's also gets kind of in between a lot of things. He's not as athletic guarding guards, so he gets caught sometimes where he's got to guard the big guy, and it just puts him in a tough spot. So again, Griff, I feel bad for the situation you get in sometime. Hopefully in the next year you can get a few inches and some more size on you, and then we can battle a little bit more. But the great part about Griffin is it doesn't matter if he's outmatched physically. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to be in the right situation. He's going to be in the right place, and he's going to do the right thing that you need him to do.
Paul.
What's so funny about the
Mattel looks sweet.
No, it's so funny.
Okay, guys, so
Hey.
No, not be quiet.
Hey, as always, I'd like to thank Paul because of all the kids that we have. I know that when we come to practice, no matter what's happened that day, if he's had a team practice or if he's done 3 other things that day, when he comes to practice of any of the kids, he comes in with the most focus and he works the hardest in practice consistently. And that's a credit to Paul. It's a credit to his parents, his family, and what they've instilled in him. I love the fact that Paul's always going to give you his best effort, that he's going to do the right thing. He works his butt off on defense, and he's really worked hard to do those things well. Paul's another one that right now, when we play up, gets caught in situations where he's forced to guard bigger guys a lot of times, and he has to push them around and do those things. But he always does a good job. He's very reliable. And again, hopefully in the course of the next year, we get a few more inches and a few more pounds, and all that stuff will help out some more.
Yeah.
As always, Paul.
if you add on to Paul, Paul, we'll talk a little bit with Jared. I consider them my workhorses because, like Coach said, they're either guarding guys bigger than them, or we put them on the best athlete on the other team because we know they're quick enough and big enough to body them up and to frustrate them. So they always have tough assignments out there. They have a tough time finding their spots in a game because we're giving them tough assignments. And if you don't understand the game of basketball, you don't understand the contribution that they've given to this team that's unheralded. They do all the dirt work, the grunt work, and they did a great job at it.
They get beat up.
Yes.
They get beat up bad.
Jared. Team Mom, you want to do this one?
No, you got it.
Jared somehow during this year, I don't know where it came from, developed a 3-point shot. That, in years past he was not allowed, kind of like we have with Mattel. He had his radius that he could only shoot from. And we expanded it for Jared, and he actually became a very consistent 3-point shooter for us during the year. But that's not really where he excelled. You guys, probably don't know these guys, but like a Charles Barkley or a Dennis Rodman, undersized players that were leading rebounders, that's Jared. He finds a way to get a rebound. He finds the spot. He reads the ball coming off the hoop and moves to get to it, and he out-rebounds guys that are bigger than him because he positions himself to where that ball is coming to. That is an instinct, not anything you can teach, and Jared has it, where he has a nose to find the ball. He's also great at sitting under the basket and getting that quick putback.
Yeah. Cherry picker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not so much this year as last year, but still, whenever we had a player that was eating us up, we tell Jared, get in his face, and we expect you to get punched. You didn't get punched this year, though, right? No. But get face to face, irritate that other player, take him out of his game, which Jared was really good at because he had the quickness to stay with guys that were bigger than him, faster than him, but he'd stick with them and really frustrate them and take them out of his game, their game, so that we could excel and do what we want to do. So you had a great season. You really expanded your game. Going back to 4th grade when you first started, I don't think you could touch the basketball without traveling. I don't think you had a single travel call this whole year. So that's the involvement in your game. Nice job.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Just the same exact stuff about Jared. Jared does things in the course of a game that you can't quantify by a stat sheet or anything else. He just has such a good nose for the ball and an understanding of what's going on, and his game is getting better. And we've incorporated a lot more skill type drills this year. And as the year's gone on, you can see him getting better and better at those things. And so not only is he to the point now where he has so many intangibles as a player, right place, right time kind of a thing, but now his skills are taking a step forward as well. And again, 3 inches and 30 pounds will be good next year.
Well, he's the most quick-witted kid there is. He's the funniest kid on the bench.
Yeah.
Mattel.
Rookie!
Well, I think it's obvious what Mattel brought to our game. The size and the speed is something we had lacked for a couple of years. Whenever we played up, we would always be outsized. Mattel gave us some size to compete against those bigger teams that we faced, and he's one of the reasons why we were a lot more competitive when we played up than we have been in years past. And yet, we won 3 tournaments playing up. Last year we won 1, and a lot of it is because of the size factor that Mattel brought to the game, his rebounding,
and his mama.
And his mama. He was very raw to start the season, and we gave him certain parameters. And to Mattel's credit, he lived within the parameters of what we asked him to do. And he could have been, if he was out there doing other stuff we didn't want him to do, we would not have been successful. And as the year, I wish we had video of him at very first practice in October. And as us coaches were saying, like, oh my gosh, what did we get ourselves into here? Because we weren't sure what he was going to be able to do. He had trouble dribbling, he had trouble shooting. About the only thing he had was speed when he started out. But to his credit, he worked hard in practice. Gave him drills to do for pregame. He'd go there and work on his drills. And he learned what we wanted him to do. And as the year went on, he kept getting better. And I think all of you saw it as the season progressed, how much more of a contributor he was at the end of the year versus at the start of the year. And can't wait to see him keep playing as he gets older, because you got nowhere else to go but up with the talent and speed and the athletic ability.
Oh, God.
Scott?
Just a couple of things in exactly the same. I mean, you watch where he started the year, where he is now, the progress that he's made. It's phenomenal, and it's a credit to him that he's worked hard at those things. And most of the time in practice, he is down shooting where he should be shooting and doing a lot of those things. And so he's worked hard at the ball handling, and he's gotten better at all of it. What I would challenge Mattel, and the rest of them have been through it a little bit longer, so they've been challenged before. But what I would challenge Mattel with is that when he decides that he's going to do something on the basketball court, he can do it as well as anybody. Meaning he can go from one end of the court to the other as fast as anybody I've ever seen. He can grab rebounds and be physical and get after it as much as anybody I've seen. And for me, it's a function of let's be consistent doing those things so that Coach Bren can go back to being nice all the time at you all the time. But so much ability, so much potential, so much. He impacts the game. At a basketball level, he's a baby, and he impacts the game so much. And if we can get those skills to step up over the course of the next year, you have a chance to really be a good player. But again, it comes down to let's get after it all the time, right?
All the time. You'd be unbelievable all the time. Not 50, 30%, all the time.
Let's go.
And I'll be on you until you're doing that.
And one more thing I want to say. I'll never forget, and the moms didn't get to see this. We were playing in the semifinals in Fort Wayne, and Mattel got a rebound, and he outletted it to Jack, and Jack had like a one-on-one fast break, and then Mattel passed everybody and beat them all down the court, including Jack and the guy he had the one-on-one with, and got the layup at the other end. And just to see somebody do that is unbelievable.
Did he make the layup?
He did make the layup.
As we're standing here, I just got a text from Nike saying we got the #1 rated player in the nation.
Walking too far.
Of course, to all of us, it's not a surprise because he's told us that so many times.
Now we're joking about that, but in all seriousness, I don't think we've played against another player as good as Colin. There's nobody that's as rounded
He said play against.
as Colin.
Yeah, there are better players on his team than Colin, but not we play.
I said against. But he is so difficult to defend on the offensive end because you know what? If you sag off of him, he'll drain the three. You come up and play him, he'll take you to the hoop. He won't finish at the hoop, but he'll take it there. And defensively, when we first started coaching Colin in 5th grade, he didn't like playing defense at all. You were lazy at it, and we really had to push you on to do it. But now he's motivated to do it, and he is a phenomenal defender. I think he rises to the challenge, especially when the guy across from him thinks he's better than Colin. You see him really turn it up that extra notch.
Yeah.
Some of the offensive moves he made throughout this whole year, and one of them really sticks in my mind, was in Fort Wayne, and it was that semifinal game. He drove the lane and did a 360 spin move to lay the ball in that even the other fans clapped for. It was an unbelievable move.
Now, was that luck, Colin, or not? Was that luck or not?
No.
They just showed out in Fort Wayne, didn't they?
What the parents don't get to see is, it was maybe 2 weeks ago, I think Colin had his best practice ever. Those type of moves that he did in Fort Wayne, he doesn't practice all of the time. And it's really fun to watch him practice and play the game. It's it's a pleasure to coach Colin. I can't wait to see where you go in the future.
Hey guys, we got a few more here, okay? I just want to say I feel very fortunate. We have a great team. We have a great group of kids. We have some kids that are very talented. We have one kid that is phenomenally talented.
And he has the head for it, too.
That has the ability to probably do about anything in the game of basketball that he wants to do. What I like about Colin is the fact that almost all the time we get very good work from Colin. And the easiest thing to do is to be the best player. The hardest thing to do is to be the best player and to work hard. And that doesn't happen that often, trust me. With what I do for a living, there are lots of people that have ability that don't put the time and effort and desire and get after it. And Colin does, and I appreciate that a lot. With that said, if you don't keep doing all the things that you've done to this point, it's not going to matter. So anything that he wants to do in the game of basketball, I think he can do. But it's going to continue to be the amount of effort that he puts in to get to where he wants to be. And as Coach said, I think it's simple. The best thing about Colin was he was terrible on defense when we started, and now he commits to it. He commits to everything on the court. And, he's had some moments where he's just taken over games, but to his credit, there's been lots of moments where he's more than willing to make everybody else better too, and I appreciate that as well.
He is a great team player. As great as you are, you're a great team player.
Again, I think we're all fortunate to have you, to been able to coach you. If you stop working now, I will beat you. But again, credit, your ability is very good, and your work ethic has been very good too. So thank you.
Keep it up, #1.
And Colin, how did you end up? Are you ranked? Are you first among 8th graders as well, or just the 7th?
Matt.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the team capacity?
can do it, Matt. That's all I need, Jack and
Matt, for the last, all the way since going back to 4th grade when we started playing, Matt has played a couple of key roles for us. The number one key role is the tenacity he brings to the court with his defense. He is, unbelievable. I go back to 5th grade tryouts, and Dean Anthony was standing next to me and says, well, what's your team look like? And, I put also Matt Brenz on there. He goes, you sure about that? He's kind of small. I go, just watch him play defense. Took him all of about 30 seconds to watch you playing defense at that tryout. He goes, okay, I see what you're talking about. And what he does defensively is incredible. How quick he moves, how he frustrates the other guards. The other thing he really brought, especially this year, to the table for us is his three-point shooting. Absolutely deadly from three-point land. Coming up, running, getting off the dribble or even the catch and shoot. You've a ton of points shooting 3 points. And running the offense. If Jack wasn't out there running the offense, very confident for you to take the lead out there and do everything that needed to be on the offensive end, as well as being a leader on the court. You had a phenomenal year. It's fun to watch you play. Like Coach will say in probably about 30 seconds here, you need to grow about 6 inches and put on 100 pounds and you'll be good.
2 feet.
I guess what I would say is that, for those that have been with us for all this time, you can think back to where Matt was in 4th grade, and he's always been a relentless defender and a competitor and getting after people. But he wasn't much of a factor offensively. And really not even ball handling. He could handle the ball, but he never did a lot with it. And then you think back to 5th grade and you could see some progress. You watched last year how middle, second half of the year he started to grow as an offensive player and do those things. And then you think where he is now compared to where he was and the time and the effort that he's put in. And it should be obvious to everybody how much better he's gotten as a player. And it should be obvious to everybody that it didn't happen by accident, that it happened because of hard work. And he's put as much time in the last year to 2 years as anybody has. And that it's showing in his game and the things that he can do. I bet somebody a year ago that Matt would play college basketball. I'll bet him again that he will. He's going to have that ability because his work ethic will take him there, his skills will take him there, and really the level that he plays at is a function of how big that he gets to be. So again, I can't say enough about Matt, how he's progressed as a player, and it's a credit to him and how hard he's worked at it. And again, anybody that wants to know why he's gotten better needs to take a minute and look at the time that he's put into it because it's obvious.
Dylan.
Well, we couldn't say here.
Turn the picture around, Dylan.
Yeah, you gotta get a close up of that picture.
Oh, we gotta see that.
So, Dylan got off to a really rough start to the season, breaking a bone in his foot, and that really hurt our team because our press really relied on Jack, Matt, and Dylan up on the front, creating some havoc and cutting off passing lanes, and we kind of missed that with Dylan. We had to kind of relearn the press without Dylan out there. We also missed his offense during the first 2 months of the year. His outside shooting was always deadly and very consistent. So when he went down, we really struggled those first 2 months. It's actually surprising that we put together the record we did with how shorthanded we played. But once he got back into the rhythm, our team really started to find more rhythm again. Both with the press, we put in a couple of different looks, and with the outside shooting, taking the ball to the basket a little bit, not as much as your dad wants you to.
To the basket, you hear that?
Yeah, to the basket.
To the
Down the
basket.
lane.
Not on the side, Matthew, Dylan. Not the side.
But I go back to after, it was, I think during the 4th grade season, and we had just started out, and Dylan was kind of in a little bit of a slump, and I turned to Dylan and I said, when I started putting together the team at 4th grade, there were 2 players from 3rd grade I saw play that I wanted on the team. One, of course, was Jack, because he was my son. And the second was Dylan, all the way back in 3rd grade, it's like, Dylan is somebody we want on the team because he's a total contributor between offense and defense and the attitude out there, because he does carry a chip on his shoulder when he plays, which you need to have to be a good athlete. Those confidence test too. But Dylan had a great half year since you missed the first half of the year, which really stung for everybody. But great year once again. Nice job.
Wait, I want to say something about Dylan. There's 2 people out here today, but especially with Dylan. You went through, I know it's going to sound bad, you went through a horrible slump. You kept your head, you kept on trying, you kept on going, and you started coming out of it in Fort Wayne, the second half of that tournament, and then last weekend, we wouldn't have won that game against that team. You kept to it though, and that takes a lot. And I want you to learn from that in the future, and all you guys, you're all going to go through slumps in every sport you pick, baseball, basketball, but keep with it, and you're going to come right out of it. And now you're back to where you were. And that was because of your foot that you were in that slump, but that's going to be something that's going to happen, and it was good. It was a good hard work to keep going at it.
A couple things that, I'm obviously pretty tough on Dylan a lot of the time.
Really?
I can ride him pretty good. I feel bad in some respects, that a lot like some of our other guys, that physically he gets overmatched. He's in between right now. He weighs 100 pounds going against guys that weigh 130. So he gets beat up a little bit. There was a very valuable lesson that he learned this year. Hopefully he continues to learn from it. I am very proud of the fact that I think that he works at everything that he does very hard, and he's put a lot of time in to become a good player. And I think that as we get some maturity and some strength going, we'll see more positive things down the road. So.
He looks cute.
Who are you looking at?
When you make the NBA, that's going to be your picture. All right. We got Jack here. Now, Jack is definitely our floor leader on the court. The whole offense seems to run a little bit better with him out there. Not necessarily because he's scoring or doing anything, but he gets everybody else organized, and we get our offense rolling. Him and Colin, I think, are the only 2 on the team this year that showed the aggressiveness to go to the hoop whenever we needed it. And whether they were successful or not, it needed to be done to collapse the defense, so we had some open looks for our outside shooters. And for Jack at his small stature to be able to get to the hoop, and we were talking about this before, how he got shots off against these bigger guys, I have no idea.
I don't think he knows how he does it.
The backboard and the rim and make it a lot of the times too.
With his eyes closed.
Exactly. But he kind of picked up with Matt. Saw how Matt played defense, and Jack picked up from it, and them 2 teaming up together on the top of the court, guarding those guards. They have a nonverbal communication where they're switching or double teaming or whatever they need to do to stop that other guard. They do a great job at it, and it's always fun to watch him play. He has a big chip on his shoulder when he plays as well. And I understand he made a few threes finally yesterday after he struggled all year long with his shooting. Yeah, but you're not a 3 shooter.
I just
Every one of the players go through a slump or have a struggle at some point in the season. And for Jack, it was shooting threes. And you talk about hard work. He went to James's practice after he struggled shooting threes for an hour and a half, shot threes to get his shot back. And after that, they started falling yet again. And that's something I know all of you guys do, and you got to continue to do, is work a little bit on your own, on your weaknesses, to get stronger.
The best part about Jack is just he's such a competitor out there. And you know that when you start a game, if it's a big game, he's going to give you everything he's got, and he's going to compete his butt off for you. His ability to get to the basket and attack and make things happen and find somebody that's open or to finish and do those things really changes the way that we can play, because you can't play basketball if you can't attack the defense. And he does that so well. Just his tough-mindedness, his hard nose, the ability to compete, get after people, the way that he competes offensively and defensively. That's just a credit to him, and you know, it wouldn't be the same. It's not the same when he's out on the court. It wouldn't be the same playing without him, and so you know, as we move forward, again, keep working on those things that you got to work on with the shooting and getting consistent with it, and everything else Jack does is just, man, he kind of makes our team go. We've won a lot of games because of how he plays and pushes the ball.
Jack, I want to say something about Jack. He's the same as Dylan. He went through, like Coach was saying, that slump. Went and worked on it, kept on going, and started hitting them, and now look at last weekend. He couldn't miss. I think he was throwing it blindfolded behind his head and they were going in. So they, and as he said, there's only 2 people on the team that truly go to the hole hard and finish. It's Colin.
And me.
No, by far not you. And Jack. You guys go in hard, and no matter what, you guys go in, you take the hit, and then you finish. And that means a lot to the team. And I'll never forget 2 years ago, Jack said, and he means this, he doesn't care how many points he scores, except for last tournament when he knew we were going to win. But he cares about his assists and his teammates when it comes to that, and playing hard-nosed defense. Scoring means nothing to him, and that's a great leader on the court.
Yeah. Let's go.
Everybody stay sitting, hold on. Wait till you guys.
Yeah.
Before we're done, you know, just one thing, like, you know, I'm never obviously looking towards the future, things that can happen. Obviously next year, it's the last year. It's the last time that we get to play winter ball together as a group. It's the last time. When we play as 8th graders, we don't get to play up to 9th grade anymore. So next year is it. So, you know, what I would challenge you is that next year, that we beat everybody next year. That whatever we got to do to be better as a team, to be better individually, that you spend the next 6 months doing those things so that when next year comes, that we can go wherever we want to go, play whoever we want to play, and be able to stay on the court with anybody. Because we don't have to play up anymore. And over the course of the next 6 months, some of these guys are going to get bigger and stronger, and we're going to look up. And you know, we got 1 year left. Coach gave us the stats. I mean, we got 1 year left to get to the point where we can, you know, put a stamp on this thing with 170, 180 wins as a group of kids that play together. And so I just want us all to be ready for that next year.
All right, before you guys go, the kids got something for Coach Jokes.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Somehow I think I know what this is.
So they fill out and
Good job.
it kind of has a lot to do with Colin too, because he kind of triggered this idea.
Triggered a lot of this.
He triggered the idea.
It wasn't even Mattel that did it.
No.
It was Colin.
It was Colin. Colin's the final draw. I think Dylan just missed 2 layups, and everybody.
One.
Great.
Throwing the chair. When Coach kicked the chair in that tournament.
One.
What? Yeah.
That was one.
That's great. Thank you guys.